Do you need a Cyberpunk build that does insane amounts of damage, with both sustained damage as a netrunner and stealth with covert combat and control hacks, as well as being able to maintain lore accurate as well as conversation accurate checks, and absolutely dominate any boss or anything that's thrown in your way with insane crits up to 100k or more? Then I got the Cyberpunk build for you. What's up, world streamer? Back in with the review to checking out all things Cyberpunk. Okay, so I'm going to show you where to get. We got a specific item in Phantom Liberty that's going to allow us to achieve these insanely high crits, as well as some of the perks, talent, and abilities that I'm taking. We'll combine that with our cyber deck. I'll go over some of this stuff really briefly and really quickly. We'll first go over the location of where you can get this item that will allow you to do these insanely high crits with your cyber deck, as well as being a netrunner. You will need to come to the stadium section here, just located in this section, and you will need to head to this Ripper dock here. Now, just showing kind of briefly where my location is so you can see. We'll walk up here, we'll go to this Ripper dock, and here, this is where we'll have the first item on our list. And in our cyber deck, he's going to allow us to essentially do these insanely high crits. Now, what item am I specifically talking about? It is the COX-2 Cybersomatic. Now again, you will have to go to this guy specifically to buy this one, and it is absolutely insane. Now what you're reading here first is that it's just 100% crit chance with quick hacks. It's actually pretty cool ability here, but for some reason, either it's bugged or the way that it's applying things is allowing us to have insanely high stats. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that by coming into my character stats here and going into our damage per second section here. You'll see that we're doing 1,012% quick hack damage. Now you'll see these insanely high crits at 100k, 50k, 20k, 30k. There's a bunch of crits that you can get off with multiple different abilities, or the cyber deck abilities. Essentially, you'll be able to use Sonic. As well as some other ones like Synapse Burnout. There's a few other things there, but let's go into the actual perks so that we can get that out of the way. We can check out what we're doing here. So this is a 2020 tech and intelligence build. Everything else, for the most part, reflex is cool. That doesn't really matter. If you want to have high skill checks for the lore and being able to get those checks out of the way in conversations, then you should have 15 cool, 9 reflex, and then 20 tech and 20 int. Again, that's going to help you through a lot of the speeches and stuff, but the main priority is going to be our tech and intelligence. Now for our tech tree, we'll go through these very quickly. We have some health recharge stuff here that allows us to kind of keep our health when we go into overclocking. That's what we're kind of our main build with this here. We'll go 4+ on our cyberware capacity here. We got a few other modifications to cost, as well as modifiers, adding additional stat modifiers. We have cyberware slot abilities here. We also have some other 15% duration, but basically following this, you really don't need anything else too crazy. You could go here 15% if you have all cyberware filled. However, I don't have it all filled, so that's something we're going to go ahead and skip out on. Everything else we're going to skip on this tree. We're going to go over to our intelligence tree very quickly. As you see, we basically have this thing almost maxed out. A lot of cool stuff here. RAM recharge rate. We have RAM recovery rate and quick charge. We also want our overclock ability here. This is going to be really good for us. We want our overclock mode there. That's also unlocked through this. We have some other things here, which is giving us stuff with our RAM, and basically restores health equal to RAM. That's another really good one. Overclock quick charge. This is going to kind of increase the damage as our health decreases. It's another way you can get probably even 200k crits if you're doing that there, or 150k. Definitely up there. You're getting some other health bonuses here, other RAM kind of regeneration here, some max RAM that we're getting. I like these for the camera stuff. Again, I would just follow along here. Nothing too crazy out of the ordinary. Most of the stuff deals with RAM and recharge rate, as well as some quick hack stuff and quick hack Q size. This is really going to help getting us a 4th quick hack Q size. You really want this 4th one here, as this is going to increase our damage exponentially with that. Other than that, everything else, like I said, cool. It's not really going to have anything crazy. You could copy these if you want into our reflexes. We don't really have anything in body. We don't have anything as well. And we do have some stuff left over, but you can kind of see this is kind of the main priority section there. Again, tech, we do want this here. This allows us to get cyberware and have it really more there. We can have 50 points additionally, and that also gives us plus 15% or plus 50% crit damage, which is absolutely massive. That's another big one that we want there. Now going into the actual cyberware here, so you can check out what we're doing. Now again, the main stuff here is a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter too much. Slow time, all that stuff. If you want it, you want it. Most of the stuff here is what we want is we want to increase the max RAM. And we also want to worry about the perk points when we're getting that randomly. You could wait 24 hours. The Ripper docks will have different stuff there. You can get a couple different things there to increase the damage by 3 or 4%. There's also another section if once you hit level 50 in, I believe it is engineering, you get a plus 30% to all Cyberware stat modifiers. That's another big one. This is going to be really hard to level, so you might take some time there on getting those up. So mainly, but the biggest thing here is we have that Cyberware and then into our cyber deck here, which we'll go into the kind of quick hacks that I'm using here briefly, and the ones that we're going to be mainly kind of stacking up here. Reboot Optics is main one here. System Collapse I really like, but it's not a main one. Synapse Burnout is what we're stacking. We're also stacking Short Circuit sometimes, Sonic Shock, Cyberware Malfunction, and then Bait. Those are the ones that I take, but you'll see the main stuff that we do is kind of mostly geared to essentially stacking as many things as we can in the queue size to get all that damage off. I'll show some examples of the gameplay really quickly, and we'll go into that now. Now the main point is to also get your RAM as low as possible. So we'll kind of showcase what we can do here on kind of like an example. And what we're essentially doing is we're trying to stack as much as we can. So we're trying to get our RAM as low as possible. We'll go 2 into Cyberware Malfunction there, and then go into our Synapse Burnout, and then that will get us a 4-stack queue on there, and you'll see 20k critical. Not too bad there. But if we utilize Overclock now, we'll head into what we can actually do, which we'll do Cyberware Malfunction twice, or we'll do Sonic Shock into Cyberware Malfunction twice. You can also go into Reboot Optics, but you're going to have to wait for the first charge to go off, and then you can head into Synapse Burnout, which will hit for a 30k crit, but we essentially didn't get all of it on there. You see 54k into 70 there. Now we'll go into here, we'll do one more, we'll do Sonic Shock, Cyberware Malfunction twice, and then into Synapse Burnout. And the reason why is you're doing this is because Synapse Burnout does do that stacking damage. And you can get these really high depending on how many and how low your RAM is essentially. Now I do have a lot of things that are constantly restoring my RAM, so it's not as low as possible. And you have to be in overclock, but you can essentially get that to 100k. There are a few instances where you'll see, depending on the stacks and what you do with Reboot Optics, as well as Cyberware Malfunction into Sonic Charge, there are a few things there with that you can get those kind of higher damage stacks. You're basically just trying to stack the abilities. If you read up on the actual cyber deck stuff here, you'll see that the Synapse Burnout actually does gain more damage depending on, it basically increases depending on how many enemies you've neutralized. It also increases by how much RAM you've spent. There's a lot of things there. Overclock duration will get extended as well. A couple things there with that. Reboot Optics also will play into this as well, with some of the kind of spread and things and increasing damage there. There's a lot of stuff here that you could do with stacking with this, but I mean, you're essentially one-shotting anything in the game anyways. 50k damage, I believe 20k is even enough to kind of one-shot anything. So even if you're not getting too many stacks off, you're still going to one-shot everything and essentially do so much damage that at a certain point, it doesn't really matter how many times you stack this stuff or how many you're getting on there. But if you want to do some crazy cool damage and maybe one-shot some bosses, that's essentially how you would do it. But that should about cover for today's video. If you like and subscribe, and it's the next one. Deuces.